Folks, welcome back. Today I'm doing a reading on the pretty consistent losing strategies of the Democrats. For me, it's pretty frustrating, and that should tell you everything you need to know about my political leanings, okay? When I pre-gamed this particular reading, I got from Spirit that the billionaire class, the elitist class, is largely to blame for the Democrats choosing to throw elections, throw major decisions, like they're being played by the billionaire class. Sit down and let these other people take over, and we'll pay you off to sit down to do it. Okay? We'll actually get into the reading. Today I am using the Tarot Mucha Tarot deck, and in just a minute I'll be using the Uncertain Oracle by the Numinous Spirit Press. I believe the artist name is Cedar McLeod, if I'm not mistaken. And I've not put in reversals, but here we go. A little bit more from this one. There we are. There go the reversals, and the way this works is I shuffle until Spirit asks me to stop, and then maybe we'll get some insight into, well, one card flipped out. King of Swords in reverse. We're putting it down, and another one flipped out too. Five of Wands in reverse. So a lot of people take this to be lawyers, lawmakers, if you will, people who spend a lot of time in their head, and it's in reverse. These are people who are using their mental capabilities in ways that do not benefit them in the long run, nor do they benefit the people that they're supposed to be serving. And alongside that, we've got the Five of Wands, and it's in reverse. I'm hearing a whole lot of infighting is what's going on, and it creates fights amongst the people that they're meant to serve. These are people who are not living in their greatest intelligence, who are not operating by their greatest intelligence, that they're wasting their mental energy on stupid infights. And they lose focus, but I also believe the idea that billionaires are paying them off in certain ways to sit out stuff that they could possibly win. Maybe not easily necessarily. Spirit has asked me to stop. Let's take from the top, and then if Spirit asks me to work on the bottom, we will. Okay, we've got the Three of Pentacles. Sorry about the shitty quality of my camera. This is very beautiful imagery, and, I kind of think it goes alongside with the pomp and circumstance that you maybe used to associated with American politics, which is rapidly decreasing. I do see people working on, let me put my cards down, working on this kind of infighting. Like, they do work, and then it gets torn down, but at the same time, there is, it feels like, an agreement to not make much progress, because this particular row, which speaks to me, and that's what I was just holding up, this particular row speaks to me of people like cooperating to not make much progress. Or if they do, they're like small gains, and then they get torn down by people who, they basically self-sabotage. Think of it like the King of Swords is part of the Sword Suite. Think of basically falling on your own sword because people are too dumb. Sorry, I don't mean to be insulting. Four of Swords coming on top of the on top of the King of Swords in reverse. These people are not thinking. They're unconscious. You might call them NPCs. I don't believe that NPCs actually exist. I think that's just kind of like a derogatory term for someone who operates unconsciously, who allows their ego to drive what it is that they do, and they don't genuinely think about the long term. They don't think towards their best or highest good, let alone the people that they serve or are supposed to serve. Here we've got the Nine of Wands. In the traditional sense, this is someone who is injured and is kind of on their last legs, on their last stand. So I get the feeling that they've been asleep at the wheel for so long that they are finally about to be knocked over. It's about to be finished, whatever it is. Now, this is interesting. I've got two swords cards lined up on top of each other, and then I've got 2 wands cards on top of each other. Fire on air energy. This is a lot of hot air. If you want to take this from Democrats have been blowing a lot of hot air and not much action, right? These are people who are in the defensive position from the outside because they've been so busy fighting with each other, disagreeing with each other, that they don't present a united front. And they're about to be easily pushed over by people much stronger than they are. Not saying that those people are more intelligent, just that they are more unified, that they present a more unified front, and that they know what to do to get shit done. Now here we've got the Knight of Swords, and it's on top of the 3 of Pentacles. A fast removal of any kind of progress that was made is on its way, is what I'm getting from this. More air energy, more destructive. This is interesting. My eyes are being drawn to the red wings on this particular knight's helmet. You might say that those are Phoenix's wings. In this case, I would associate that with the Republicans. We have here the King of Pentacles. It's in the upright position. And when Spirit said, when I pre-gamed to Spirit, about this particular reading before I started, well, there's your answer right there. There are people who are paying this particular group of people off to not behave a certain way, to not rule in a certain way, if you want to talk about laws and that kind of thing. Being paid off to be asleep at the wheel. The people who have the money, who pull the purse strings, are the ones who are actually in charge, not the elected Democrat officials. Okay? There's the Wheel of Fortune. It's in the upright position. These people are agitating for change. Okay? And change is coming. The universe is also, the wheel moves. The universe is moving the wheel, basically. Change may not be as favorable. Well, I have been telling people that this is going to be a painful couple of years that we've got coming up, with the United States' Democratic Republic falling a little more each day. I think that we've got some real problems up ahead. When these people make their final stand and when they're finally pushed over, then we get to see the start of the new era. The question is, how painful is this new era going to be for the people who voted for Democrats in the hope that they would do something to protect them? I'm thinking of specifically the LGBT community. I'm not saying that everybody in the LGBT community voted Democrat, and that's not the point. Those were the people who were supposed to be more pro-LGBT than Republicans. And now, with those people falling away, as loosey-goosey, as full of holes their defenses were, what's going to happen to the people who voted for them because they were in minority groups of some type? Excuse me. We've got more Wands energy here. This is the 7 of Wands taking a stand against all odds, against a whole bunch of other Wands. Moving quickly. That Knight is air on air energy. Moving very, very fast. And I wouldn't be surprised to see that with Pluto in Aquarius. Work being quickly swept away very fast. And being forced to be put on a back foot when it comes to being defensive. I do feel like defenses will have the potential to be scattered right here. I wonder if this infighting isn't going to get worse amongst Democrats, and there will be some true blue, no true Scotsman, but there will be some people like Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez. I believe that's her full name. I'm sorry, I just saw her initials, AOC. And there will be some who will be forced to really, really focus on fighting for what they believe is right against people who should have been allies. But, with the way things have gone, let me build it up. That's what my cards look like. But with the way things have gone, I don't know how effective these people here in the Seven of Wands are going to be, because I feel like these people over here are going to be way more powerful. And in fact, it makes sense. A king would be more powerful than some minor arcana card in the pips, if you will. That change is radically coming, and even the people who are true of heart are not going to be able to defend against this. And in a sense, like I've been saying before in other videos, the universe is finally giving Republicans, extremist conservative Christians, political Christians, what they've been agitating for literal decades. This is one of those fuck around and find out moments. Be careful what you wish for, you just might get it kinds of moments. The thing is, it brings a lot of pain to the people who were looking to people like Democrats to keep them safe from a lot of the laws that have been overturned, such as Roe v. Wade, for instance. And I swear to God, they're headed for Obergefell versus Hodges. I swear to God they are. If they're able to turn over a Supreme Court decision from 1973, why wouldn't they be able to do that for a decision from 2015? I swear to God it's on its way. Spirit says no more, take from the bottom. High Priestess is in reverse. These are tremendous lies. This is also about looking to a particular entity for help, for advice, and not getting it because that particular entity is a false one. So I guess what this card is saying is be careful about making not false gods per se, but making authority figures out of these King of Swords in reverse, who are much more prone to infighting and working with the billionaire class than they are on actually serving the people who need them the most. Stop idolizing those people, and that goes for me too. We've got the Four of Pentacles in reverse. There's this idea of holding on to something so tightly that it slips away. And I kind of get the image of sand. Try going out and if you can, get some sand and squeeze it as tightly as you can. I used to do this as a kid. It was a fun game because it felt nice. But the analogy also stands. The tighter you squeeze that sand, the more of it slips away. So I do see like a lot of the things that Democrats had built up for themselves, a lot of those victories slipping away. The more tightly they may harp on those kinds of things, the more tightly they may say to us, the people who voted for them, do you remember when we did this for you? The more of us are going to slip away and say, yeah, and what about all this other shit that you just handed right over? Here's the Hermit in reverse. So Spirit's saying no more after this card, but this is about being deeply isolated in ways that indicate a deep need to come out, to not be so isolated. This is obviously an indication for us to come together into communities, stop isolating, stop being so divided. This is quite possibly an indication to us that we need to stop relying on politicians to save us here. Sorry about my messy cards. Stop leaning on politicians to save us. And I've said in another reading, I don't remember which one it was, to stop looking for someone to come save us. That there is no one coming, that we have to save ourselves. And I would say that's what this final row is all about. That we're going to need to come together into communities and work together to keep ourselves safe. That we can't rely on authority figures to do that for us. And I would kind of expect to see that, but feeling it is a different thing. What I mean by expect to see that is that Pluto in Capricorn is all about institutions and authority figures and money, financial resources being congealed, congregated up at the top, and then those on the lower levels, civilians, everyday people, don't get to have anything. We're looking at tremendous amounts of division of wealth. We're looking at the death of the middle class. Excuse me. And we're going to need to let that go, to stop depending on those old Pluto and Capricorn transits and rely on this Pluto in Aquarius, where it becomes more about the collective, when it becomes more about our spiritual paths, both as individuals and as inspiring others, the collective, to follow their own spiritual paths. So something I noticed that we will be in the shadow of Pluto in Capricorn until, I believe, January and February 2026. That's when we'll finally be out of its shadow, and Pluto in Aquarius will have free reign to do what it wants. I'm still a little bit on the scared side of what's coming through with Pluto in Aquarius, and I would completely understand if you felt the same way. So I'm going to put these particular cards away, no more from this particular deck. I'm going to be pulling from the Uncertain Oracle, from the Numinous Spirit Press, and once again, I will shuffle until Spirit asks me to stop. These are circle cards, so there's no need to put reversals in. But we've got name. The name of something. Names mean nothing. Allies mean something. Allyships mean something. This is interesting. Laughter. Well, definitely, I would say that they've drawn quite a bit of laughter to their name with their, if you can call them shenanigans. I think that we're well past that point. Second sight. Sorry that the print isn't that good with my particular camera. About second sight, about using our sacred intuition, our higher selves to help us get through these particular times. Laugh at the name that they've built for themselves, but use our intuition to guide us to happier spaces where we can genuinely laugh. Or, if we have to, laugh to keep from crying. Up to you, okay? Fractured. We can use our second sight to understand how we got to be so fractured, and quite possibly we can say that the Democrats contributed to that fracturing because they chose to serve the billionaire class and pay lip service to serving those who are underserved. It says rest. Use our second sight, use our sacred intuition to help us understand when it's time to rest, and also when it's time to allow our loyalty to a particular group to have a rest. And I also note that we pulled out a Four of Swords right there. It's not just about being asleep at the wheel and allowing others to take the wheel over. It's also about giving our minds a much needed rest. There's going to be a lot of fear that takes over the next couple of years at least. And there will be times when our minds will be absolutely out of control, that'll be the time for us to understand that we need to give our minds a rest. If you have not already started a meditation practice, I strongly encourage you to do so. Please join me in meditating every single day if you possibly can. It doesn't need to be very long at all, just 5 minutes. 10 minutes, if you have the time, would be wonderful. I currently use an app called Insight Timer that I have found to be wonderfully helpful. And I believe that it's on most devices. So, no more from this. I didn't mean for this to be a long reading, but I did want to get some answers for myself and for other people who may be feeling frustrated. Give your mind a rest. Use your intuition. And find ways to laugh at a situation that has been fractured for a very, very long time. The fractures were there decades ago, I would argue, and have only increased because this was never meant to last. A country that builds itself on the backs of slaves, that builds itself on slave wages, will not stand. A nation that lives by the sword shall die by it. And I believe that. But here's the part where we have to struggle through living through that. That's not going to be pleasant for me or for anybody else. Even for the people who voted Republican. Okay? That's going to be unpleasant for everybody. Okay. No more from me. Thank you for watching. If you all got all the way to the end of this video, I appreciate you, and I hope you have a great rest of your day. Take care.